I mean, we'll talk about the Knicks game here. So the Knicks end up defeating the Indiana Pacers 111-94. We got the cherry on top. That was a beautiful Ariel Hook 40 throwdown at the end from the New York Knicks. Look, this one to me was just so much, even more than tactics. Like, we can talk a little bit about tactics. Like, I think that the Knicks did a pretty good job of like being more aggressive with Tyrese Halliburton in certain ways, but like, it was just more about defensive intensity than anything to me. They really brought it on defense tonight, across the board, in a way that not even that we haven't seen, because I think they did it actually in game 3 as well, where the defensive intensity was quite good. But more than anything, it just felt like they were up in their shit tonight. I thought Mitchell Robinson was spectacular defensively in this game. You know, between even like guys like Landry Shamet and DeLon Wright coming off the bench, bringing like real powerful, like, I'm going to get in your shit and annoy the hell out of you. That was really good to see from the New York Knicks. Also, you know, Tyrese Halliburton, you know, after a game where he brought the incredible aggressiveness, we did not see him bring the, you know, requisite level of aggressiveness that I think that, you know, oftentimes we like to see from him. And you can certainly, I think, give a lot of credit to the New York defense for stopping that from happening. But also, I do think a part of it was that he was not as aggressive at trying to seek out his shots as what we saw, certainly in game 4, at least.
So I want to be fair to the Knicks here, because I agree with everything you said. I do think their defensive intensity was better. I thought Mitchell Robinson was really good, specifically to start the second half. And, you know, you brought up Shamet. He made some nice plays. Brunson shot making was ridiculous. Karl-Anthony Towns on the offensive end. I put a lot of this on Tyrese Halliburton, Sam. I see a lot of people giving the Knicks defense credit. And again, I'm not trying to take things away. The guy took 7 shots, 7 field goal attempts in this game. And I thought he was driving the pass. Here's what I need to do. Like, I just need to find time tomorrow, because in my head, I feel like there were attempts and multiple attempts he just didn't take. I thought he had opportunities to either attack, take a 3, whatever, and he turned them down. There's one that stands out in my head that he turns down a catch and shoot 3 to pass the ball to freaking Jarris Walker, and Jarris Walker throws the ball out of bounds trying to make a post entry pass. And it's just like, Tyrese Halliburton, the mentality, we gave him so much love for the mentality. And to me, it was the exact opposite. And again, people are like, oh, well, this is what happens when you load up against a primary, you know, creator or whatever. No, like, Tyrese can shoot 3s. Like, that's the equalizer against a loaded up defense that's waiting for you at 15 feet or waiting for you in the lane. Like, shoot some of these catch and shoots, shoot some of this stuff off the dribble. I said it the other night, Sam, if he would have went 8 for 24 tonight, I wouldn't be on here calling him out with his performance. He didn't make shots, you know, whatever. That's not what happened. And for me, that's very frustrating. Like, I don't care who wins. I hope the Knicks take it to 7. But just as somebody who like loves this game and gave Tyrese Halliburton a lot of credit on Tuesday night, I was frustrated watching his mentality, and I thought you could see it from the jump.
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't play super well tonight. I mean, look, like, their starters in general, I thought were terrible tonight, honestly.
Real quick, I thought Pascal Siakam. So I think when your best players are struggling in certain ways, it sends a message to your whole team. I just believe that. Like, as somebody that was a role player in his collegiate career, I took a lot of confidence from watching the star players on the teams I played on, right? So offensively, when you see Tyrese unaggressive, that shifts mindsets and provides uncertainty on sorts of things. On the defensive end, watching Pascal Siakam not be able to guard Karl-Anthony Towns downhill drives was also frustrating. It's one thing if Cat posts him up. Like, I realize Cat is good, Sam, but I don't think Cat should relentlessly be attacking Pascal in a straight line to the rim over and over and over. I thought both of those guys on opposite ends were not good for the Pacers.
Yeah, I would agree. Look, the only guy that really brought it tonight, I felt like, was Mathurin. Like, Mathurin just really brought it. He's always going to bring I'm going to go out there and shoot. Sometimes it works within the flow of their offense. Sometimes it doesn't, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, decent amount of time it does not work. But Yeah, I mean, look, like nobody just brought the requisite level of intensity that you expect in a playoff game. And, whether it's you're just a little bit wiped after the, incredible pace that you have played at over the last little while, and you kind of feel like you need to take one here, especially after the way this game started, or if, there's something else. I don't know. It's hard to say, but this did feel a lot more like the Pacers just really didn't bring it.
Yeah.
And credit to the Knicks for taking advantage of 100%. That first and foremost.
Yep.
And also credit to the Knicks for really hammering it more than anything by playing with an incredible amount of defensive intensity and just kind of taking that out of them in some way.
I think the reason, like, disappointment's not the right word, because again, like, I don't care. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But I think the disappointment, I'll just go ahead and use that word, is we always talk about this team being relentless. Like, this is what they do. They just continually put pressure on you and pressure on you and pressure on you. And watching them not do that tonight in a potential closeout game was just, it was a little, especially after watching OKC see the blood in the water on Wednesday night and just annihilate the Wolves, which, I mean, I don't think that was all OKC. Like, Minnesota didn't show up in that one. And again, credit to the Knicks, because we just watched the team lay over in an elimination game the night before, and New York absolutely did not. They came out with an energy and an intensity, and I don't want this conversation to get skewed away from giving the Knicks credit. I just had to get that off my chest with the Pacers. Can I ask one more thing about the Pacers, and then we can give the Knicks all the love they deserve?
Go ahead.
Do we think Miles Turner is hurt or injured in some capacity? Like, he doesn't.
I don't think he's moving well.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I watch him just jog up the floor, and there's like I just wonder whenever the Pacers playoffs is over if we're gonna get that report of
he had that moment in, what was it, game 2, where he went down the tunnel. That wouldn't stun me if like that there was still something going on there. I wouldn't be blown away by that at all. I think more than that, though, what happened tonight was that, yes, they were not. The two words we use all the time with the Pacers are relentlessness and aggressiveness, and intentionality is the other big word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We always talk about how intentional they are in the way that they attack mismatches. I didn't even really see that intentionality tonight.
Absolutely not.
And a big reason for that was because they were less aggressive and less relentless in how they tried to get up and down the court and find different cross matches. You know what I mean? So I think that that's kind of a combo of things. I mean, the other thing is too, like, Joel asks in the comments, what happened to Naismith or Aaron Nesmith's minutes tonight? He barely played. I mean, honestly, like, 100% right. Aaron Nesmith only played 16 minutes tonight, despite only having 2 fouls. B, like, Aaron Nesmith, like, might not be healthy, right? Like, we saw him go down with that injury, and you just never know how he's feeling right now. So I'm interested to see the way that the rest of the series plays out, between Turner and Nesmith, maybe not being 100%, but maybe being good enough. On the other side, you have Oklahoma City, who gets to sit out now for a week while the Pacers are going to have to try and close this out. And the Knicks are going to try and come back like hell to be able to get this in 7. I mean, this feels like a tough spot now for either of these Eastern Conference teams, I think, to be able to beat Thunder is kind of where I'm going now.
Yeah, because when do we play? We go, is it the 4th or the 5th for game 1? I mean,
I believe it's the 5th.
Yeah, so you go Monday would be game 7. So, you get 2 days off before that one, if it was stretched out to a game 7, and then whichever team ended up winning. I'll be honest, and this, the listeners, I love Aaron Nesmith. Like, I didn't think his minutes were great. Even the 16 he did play, I didn't think he was great. I thought he was forcing things. He obviously got in the early foul trouble. Maybe that threw him off just a little bit. I do want to give the Knicks some credit. For one, I like the way they ended the first half. Like, I thought the Indiana was trying to make a push right there to go into halftime, and New York was able to weather the storm. And then they came out in the second half. Every time.
Yeah, like there were 2 different runs in the third quarter, I felt like, and one in the third, 10, one in the third and one in the fourth. Yep.
Yeah.
The 10, immediate 12-0 run.
Yep.
They get it down to 12, immediate, just like push back to be able to get it back up to like 17, 18. Like, the Knicks responded every single time tonight that the Pacers tried to make a push.
And Mitchell Robinson was a big part of that. I will also say, like, I'm pretty sure the non-Brunson minutes to start the second quarter I feel like they played really well in those, or they at least made shots during those minutes, which is always huge, right? They showed the on-off during the broadcast with that. And then also in the second half, there was Cat foul trouble, Mitchell Robinson, like just kind of wore down, and they went to Precious Achua minutes. And I'm pretty sure they won those minutes as well. And so it's just like those minutes without, when your team's in a weird situation, your best players out on the floor, your second best players in foul trouble, whatever. And they found ways to win those minutes, or at least weather the storm in those minutes. And again, you brought up Shamet. He had a nice game, defensively, made a few shots. And so, I don't want to lose sight of or take away full credit from the Knicks for going out and taking care of business tonight, because I do think that their overall defensive intensity and energy and attention to detail and all of that is a huge part of why the Pacers only scored 94 points.
Can we also just take a second here and talk about the on-offs in the context of the Brunson on-offs?
Yeah.
Because to me, like a huge reason why those on-offs look the way that they do is because of how well Karl Towns is playing in the moments where Indiana's starters are not on the court, right? That's the biggest thing to me, is that at the start of those second quarters, exactly like you say, those are the minutes where Brunson tends to sit. And Towns, again, tonight was amazing, much like he was in game 3. Was it game 3 where they had the crazy fourth quarter start with Towns? Game 3.
No.
Yeah.
Game 3 where they came back and won. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was game 3, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Start of the second quarter tonight. Towns takes advantage of a really bad double, has a mismatch on Mathurin, scores. Next possession down. Towns attacks in a straight line against Miles Turner. Late help from Ben Mathurin and one easy bucket. Awesome swing out to DeLon Wright for 3. Towns cleans it up with an offensive rebound. Then a Towns post up brings a double team, handoff to Deuce McBride for a 3. Then like he gets a stop that leads to a Josh Hart run out and one. And then I think there was even like one more play where he scored in that quarter. Oh yeah, it was, Shamet and DeLon have like this awesome defensive possession. And then Towns goes down and attacks Turner and scores another and one. And he had 15 and 8 already with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. And he was just fantastic. I thought he was so good in that moment, in that game. It was so great at attacking those opportunistic opportunities to me against the second unit. And that's why the numbers are so bad. Like he's doing it against, and this isn't a slight at Towns because he's doing it against Siakam and Turner in those minutes, but he is doing it against the second unit backcourt of Indiana, right? Where Mathurin's in, where McConnell's in, where, some of these other guys off the bench, like Jarris Walker played some minutes tonight, started the second quarter, right? So yeah. I think that is what's skewing the numbers where like it looks like Brunson is not playing well this series, when in reality, Jalen Brunson tonight has 30. And I thought he completely set the tone for everything for them offensively in the first quarter. When they go up 10, like 25-15, he has 14 of their first 25. And he ends the game with 32, 5 and 5 and goes 12 for 18 from the field. I thought he was great tonight.
I thought Brunson was awesome, and you're absolutely right. Whenever your best player sets the tone, and what I talk about intentionality, what I did love about the start for the Knicks specifically with Brunson was them using him in off the ball actions to create an advantage to then come on the ball and attack. And that's one thing I always watch for every game.
They were very intentional about getting Tyrese onto Jalen Brunson tonight.
Yeah. And so I always watch for that. And their first action of the game, they ran it. He was off the ball. He got something, got a bucket. The next time down, they love running the same action again after timeout, starter quarters, all of that. But then it had a counter to it. So he got the ball coming a different direction. And like you say, with some of those screens, he's able to get Tyrese on him. They just couldn't stop him. And I mean, this whole series, Sam, he's averaging 33 and 5.5 assists on 51, 36, 93, getting to the free throw line 9 times a game. He had the bad turnover game in game 1. Since then, he's gotten those under control. He has 4 30-point games plus the 40-point game. I mean, he's been He's awesome. Jalen Brunson is awesome. And again, you said it exactly right. He set the tone for this game for the Knicks on the offensive end. And I just think that was so important for this game 5.
Also, do just want to shout out again. I did this at the top, but Landry Shamet +4 in his 14 minutes. DeLon Wright +4 in his 10 minutes. DeLon Wright has 3 assists. Shamet makes 2 buckets. Again, I thought they brought it defensively in a way that like the Knicks bench could use in those minutes. Just bring the intensity, play as hard as you can for 10 minutes in a game, 5 minutes at a time. Just go 100%, get into the Pacers shit and just try and make their lives miserable. And they knew the assignment tonight and accomplished it.
Well, and the other thing I'll say is like none of these dudes played 40 minutes for the Knicks tonight. So they were relatively speaking for the playoffs and especially for Tom Thibodeau. 34, 36 for Cat. Mitchell Robinson was back down at 20, which I know some Knicks fans were like getting back in the game, but I think that's kind of the sweet spot for Mitchell Robinson, whether he starts or not or whatever. Like that's the sweet spot for him. Hart played 34, but we've talked about this a little bit in terms of just like stealing enough minutes. Like, can you manage the minutes? And Jalen Brunson specifically got a long stretch to rest to start the second quarter, which I just think that is huge whenever they weather the storm or win the minutes even. And he can just sit there and rest for 6 consecutive minutes to start the second quarter is so huge. And then obviously taking care of business in terms of being up by enough that a large portion of the end of the game, like, I don't know what the last 4 or 5 minutes and then the subs came in, like it just wasn't highly contested fourth quarter basketball for some of it. And like, that's huge whenever you get one day off and then have to play a game 6. So shout out the Knicks for taking advantage of the opportunity, showing up and absolutely taking care of business from the tip to the end.